All right, 77.1. It's the week after the midterms. Got so much stuff to talk about. We might do a twofer. We might do 2 episodes, which means that we're going to go for 3 hours, which means that I can take a drink, because by the time we're done tonight, the shot I take now, I won't be drunk from it, and I'll be able to drive. So, skål, everybody. Wow, that's nice. I've never had Grand Marnier before.
Did you drink it all in one thing?
No.
Okay, because you have to savor it.
Now, we're going to start off talking about the midterms, but I saw Chris Pine's wiener last night in the movie The Outlaw King.
It wasn't in the movie.
It was.
Nah, it was just Chris and Rick showed each other their penis.
Yeah, I should be so lucky. But he's coming out of a very cold Scottish river or lake, and there's no way. The deal is that, for you who aren't familiar with penises, there are plenty of situations where your penis doesn't want to be.
Actually, excuse me, I just want to say, our viewers are familiar with penises. They're just not familiar with vaginas. Probably penises, Star Wars, video games.
Yeah, all right.
Not vaginas.
Well, a lot of times your penis wants to pull up into your body. And one of those times, as noted by that famous Seinfeld episode, when you're in cold water, you shrink. Well, Chris Pine's coming out of this cold water, and he's not shrunk, which means that during the filming, he had to, I believe that he surreptitiously had to, it took me a long time to figure out that the secret to not have your penis retracted when you don't want it to be, and you grab the end of it, and you just pull down for about 3 seconds and let it stretch out and fill with a little blood, and then you're good for a while. So I suspect that under the water, he had to surreptitiously stretch himself out.
There's another thing you can do. You could think about Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, but that's hit and miss, because you have to. He's trying to portray. He's playing Robert the Bruce, a Scottish rebel in 1310 or so. So he's got to worry about his characterization. He's got to worry about his accent. He doesn't have. There's no mental real estate to worry about, to think about, to focus on Lana Del Rey. So it's just easier just to grab the end and pull.
Huh. All right.
Can you mention the standard definition as well?
What?
Can you mention the standard definition?
Oh, we're doing standard definition tonight because that'll let us do 3 hours if we want, if we have enough material to do 3 hours. All right, on to the midterms. Tuesday was the election. And now it's Sunday. And I'm going to say there was a blue wave. Roughly, some of the counts are still getting finalized. Some of the races haven't been declared or decided or whatever, but it looks like the Democrats picked up roughly 38 seats in the House, enough to have a majority. Do you think it was a blue wave, Lance?
I thought you said you had some numbers you were going to give us this
I
time.
do. So the Democrats picked up more seats in a midterm than in any midterm election since 1974. And 1974 was when they picked up 48 seats because everybody was still pissed off about Watergate and about Ford pardoning Nixon. People were sick of the Republicans for a while. It took until 1980 for the Republicans to come back with Reagan. And looking at the 30 midterms since the very beginning of the 20th century, this was the 6th biggest blue wave out of 30. And out of all the midterms that Democrats have participated in, which is 49 since they became a political party in around 1824, 25, this is the 10th biggest wave out of 49 midterms. And that's, and if you correct for gerrymandering, it's probably even more wavy than that. Though the Democrats did lose what might be 2 seats in the House, but people are they're still counting ballots in Florida.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. So the midterms came and passed, and I wondered why I wasn't particularly moved one way or the other. And I realized that the only sadness that I bore was that I had hoped that the Republicans would retain the House, but that wasn't very realistic because there were 44 Republicans retiring, and incumbents in the U.S. hardly ever lose. So if those 44 guys hadn't retired, we might have kept the House. So that's the first thing. But the main reason I wasn't particularly depressed after I thought about it was that the Republicans held the Senate. And so the Democrats really can't do anything without the Senate. And with Trump having a veto power and the Senate choosing to vote against the Democrat plans that come up from the House, the Democrats are kind of thwarted in whatever it is they want to do.
Well, can I?
No, you can't, because you talked for a long time.
All right.
And you said a lot of utter nonsense.
You mean those numbers?
The only, I'll start with the gerrymandering falsehood. The gerrymandering was actually in Pennsylvania. That's how they picked up, I believe, 3 or 4 seats in Pennsylvania, because the Pennsylvania legislature took over and said, we're gonna change things around here in our congressional districts.
Oh, so voting actually reflects the
No, they just gerrymandered. They just gerrymandered the districts so that the Democrats would get more seats. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up.
No, I believe you, but you're misrepresenting what happened. Because before they did that, the Republicans held at least 9 out of 14 Pennsylvania seats, even though they got fewer votes than the Democrats. And the courts looked at it and said, no, this is gerrymandered, and the district should more accurately represent that there's a roughly equal distribution between Democrats and Republicans, and it shouldn't automatically give the Republicans a majority. We should have a more equitable division.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on if, for example, all the Democrats were in one area, then they would get one congressman.
Well, it's really
so
a tough math problem.
It's not up to the Democrats to figure out a way of getting more congressmen, and that's what it sounds like to me. But there's more craziness in what you said. The second thing is this: you said that this was an unusually high number for the Democrats to get, but as you recall,
A fairly high number.
in 2010, the Obama administration lost 63 seats, almost double what the Democrats gained this time.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, that was a huge red wave. This
It was a
doesn't
red
mean
wave, yeah.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean this wasn't a blue wave.
Well, it does, because to me, a wave is where you get the House and the Senate, and you didn't. So you're stuck. There's nothing you can do.
But,
And there's nothing, and by the way, there's no way you can convince the viewers that you got the Senate, okay?
we didn't get the Senate. At best, even if some counts get redone, There's no way. But anyway, what's nice about what you said is nothing gets done, and that's preferable. In fact, the stock market went crazy the day after the election because the stock market likes stalemate, and the stock market, all the major indices went up 2%. And there was, I forgot to bring in the LA Times article, but it said it in the headline. It says, yeah, that the market likes stalemate. And I like stalemate too. That with the Democrats owning one of the one of the branches of the legislative, one of the halves of the legislative branch, yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to do everything you want. And yeah, we won't be able to do most of what we want, but stalemate is...
So you'd rather destroy the country than let the Republicans do things?
Yeah. Though I'd put it like this, like you have said in the past that, if Democrats are allowed to govern, that we're on our way to being Venezuela. Right? You've said stuff like that.
Yeah, I own that.
Okay, so I decided to look up how close we are to Venezuela. And I looked up, I Googled socialism index to see if somebody's done a measure of how socialist we are. And Venezuela. And the Heritage Foundation, a conservative joint that you should like, does have a socialism index. They call it an economic freedom index. And out of the roughly 180 countries measured on this index, we're the 23rd least socialist country. Venezuela is the second most socialist country. And then all these countries that are mentioned as being these socialist kind of hellholes that we might be drifting into, like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, they're all right clustered around us between 18th and 28th place. That even though we're told that they're super socialist and you have to give up half your money, and they're right with us in terms of being not very socialist at all.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, but the deal is that we'd have to drift past like 152 countries to become as socialist as Venezuela.
So why start?
Well, we're not gonna. The deal is that
we're not gonna. If you have your way, we will.
No, we won't, because we could become more like Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, and we'd be right where we are in terms of economic liberty. They're right with us.
Okay, I have to say this again because it bears repeating, and I really enjoy saying this. One of the myths I want to dispel is that the Scandinavian countries are a desirable model for ourselves. And this isn't relating precisely to what Rick said, because it's a different subject. But I would like to say that the reason that those countries can afford health care is because the American taxpayer pays for their defense. They don't have militaries to speak of. We're paying for it, so they have lots of extra money to give to their health care system.
So what we need to look up is what percent of their GDP or GNP goes to NATO. They're supposed to contribute 2%.
Yeah, well...
And they contribute like 1.2%.
It doesn't... the exact number is, you can look up if you want to, but my point is that all that money that they should have been spending on tanks and airplanes and ships, they're spending on hospitals because we're supplying the tanks and the ships and the airplanes. So it would probably take months for the two of us to figure out exactly where the money could be spent or how it could be distributed differently. It's not going to be a 5-minute internet search.
We can give it a shot when we break.
No, we can't, because it would take a think tank to divide up all the money that they could be spending on planes and tanks.
Well-
that we'd have to know the price of
Well,
each tank, each plane.
No, somebody did the work for you to have that talking point.
No, nobody did the work. I thought it up.
came it up
Yeah, I
with it?
came up with it on my own.
So-
you know why? I used logic. I said to myself, let me get this straight. Denmark, Sweden, and Norway have very, very tiny armies, almost non-existent. Denmark has practically no army whatsoever. And the U.S. has a great big army. And we are the people that keep Denmark from being taken over by Russia.
Can I give you a better
So,
argument?
so why? What are they doing with all that extra money that they would normally be spending on an army? I know they're giving social services to their civilians while you and me pay for their defense.
We can check part of this.
No,
but-
we don't need to look it up. It's logical. You can look it up if you want, but to find the exact numbers that they should be spending on their army, I think would take a report by a think tank.
No, because all you need to do is percent of GDP spent on each thing, and those statistics are easily available.
But I don't even agree.
Can I give you a-
Wait. I don't even agree that 2% is necessarily a fair number. Because if Denmark needed to defend itself against Russia,
It would take more than 2%.
It would take more than
Now you're getting
2%.
closer to a good argument.
no, but the point I'm trying to make is that they only need to spend 2% because a great big whopping army from the U.S. is sitting there defending them.
You're close to a good argument.
I'm glad you like my argument, Rick.
There's a lot of bullshit in that one, but a better argument is for you to just say, freaking Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, they each have about 5 million people. They have 1/60th of our population.
You could argue that.
And how are you going to translate what works for a country with 5 million? How are you going to say that's going to work for a country with 325 million?
Well, I've never liked that argument because it's so vague. You could just say, well, we'll be more organized and we'll do everything 30 times as big.
Yeah, but scale doesn't translate. In fact, a lot of the problems we have as a nation, I think, stem from having frickin' almost a third of a billion people. That means that you have, now I'd argue that the idiot demographic, the demographic that's most exploitable by propaganda is huge in this country. It might be 80 million people or 50 million. It's a lot of people.
The average American is actually richer than the average European.
Okay.
So we're actually doing okay. Because when they look at attributes of wealth, they talk about things like number of cars you own, home you own, how big is your TV, your stereo, how many kids can you afford to raise. And it turns out Americans are doing better than Europeans.
Sure. There was a book that came out like 12 years ago that was pretty great. It was a picture book where they went to average families in countries around the world, and they said, empty all the shit out of your house and put it on your front lawn, and we're going to take a picture of you with all your shit. And yeah, in that book, Americans had more shit than any other country, just about.
Is there anything more you want to
Well,
say
no,
about
the
this
deal is
subject?
that you're worried that Democrats are going to make this into a socialist hellhole, but the
Yes.
deal is that over the past 30 years, at least, the right moving right has nudged the left enough to the right that our left, our liberals, are pretty close to the center of politics in European countries.
Well, all right, look.
So the deal is that even if the left took over and started doing stuff that you'd hate,
Yeah.
we would end up just we wouldn't drift more left than most of the European Union.
Which really doesn't mean much. Let's talk about specifics. I think that Ocasio-Cortez wants three things. She wants free medical care for all, free college for all, and she wants to abolish ICE and have pretty much open borders. Now that, to me, you could call it socialism, and I think that would harm our country
All right,
tremendously.
so how many representatives are there in the House of Representatives?
We have this exact same argument. I
Yeah.
don't care how many there are.
All right, but she's one of 435.
That you and last time we had this argument, I said it didn't matter if she was one of 435. She's the vanguard of what you guys want to elect.
Well, let's talk
and
about
by
each
the
one.
way, her views are the same as Bernie Sanders, who was
Yeah.
almost the standard bearer of your party.
Most of my party thinks Bernie Sanders is kind of an asshole.
Most of your party would have voted for Bernie Sanders, and the only
Then
reason
why didn't they vote?
and the only reason they didn't is because Hillary Clinton stole the election.
Bullshit. If you like 5 million, maybe more, people voted for Hillary than for Bernie. But let's talk
That's
about.
because,
You
that's
mentioned.
because toward the end, the Bernie began to give up. She
No,
had
he held
control-
on for so
She
frickin'
had
long.
control over the super delegates. She had control over the DNC money. She actually, I think it was Donna Shalala. Who was the
Yeah.
Donna Brazil?
Yeah,
Who
one
was
of
the
those
head of the DNC admitted that Hillary Clinton was against the rules. She was getting all the money funneled to her.
Fine, but
that
still-
was being
still
donated
nobody-
away from Bernie Sanders.
Nobody-
and so she stole the election from Bernie
Bullshit.
Sanders.
See, that's
and
bullshit. That's bullshit.
What
That's
do you
bullshit.
mean that's bullshit? Did Hillary Clinton get money funneled to
Yeah.
her away from Bernie
But she was
Sanders
still preferred.
unethically?
She still won more primaries. She was
Yeah,
still
that's because she had all the money to advertise. She had all the money to form rallies and pay people to go door to door. She stole that election from Bernie Sanders, and that's part of
Bernie
the that's part of the reason Trump won, because so many Sanders supporters were disgusted by your candidate.
That still doesn't mean that they had a majority. He isn't even a fucking Democrat. He's an independent.
He
And-
ran in the Democrat
Yeah,
Party.
but still-
Do not use a technicality to try to win the argument. That's pathetic.
More
Rick.
people liked Hillary than, even though Hillary wasn't that likable, than fucking Bernie.
It doesn't matter.
But
She stole the nomination
No,
by
she didn't.
unethical proceedings. It was admitted
So, all right.
It was admitted in the WikiLeaks. It was
All right, okay.
it was admitted by the DNC chairman, and as a result, we'll never know. Bernie Sanders might have been your candidate, and he's for free health care, free college, and open borders.
All right, so let's talk about those three things. But first, the entire history of American politics involves machine politics, where that shit went on for 200 years before frickin' Bernie. And there's just a little whiff of it left with super delegates. But anyway, the three things. Let's start with free college.
Super delegates was never done before. Super delegates was a new way that diminished the democratic quality of the Democratic
Yeah, but
primary.
it's still machine politics, and machine politics has been a part of American politics. I mean, it used to be that the voters had no input, and the nominee was determined by the delegates at the conventions.
Okay.
And that went on for 100 years.
Rick,
And-
my entire life, I'm not talking about the 19th century. I'm saying that in our lifetime, if you were a Democrat, you had a choice between McGovern and Muskie, between Kennedy and Carter, between Humphrey and Kennedy. Today, in 2016, you didn't have a choice. They rammed Hillary Clinton up our asses, and it was done with corruption, and it was a regression to anti-democratic politics. It was machine politics. It was the kind of thing that we
How many
thought
superdelegates were there
the U.S. got over.
How many super delegates were there compared to regular delegates?
I do not know the exact number, Rick.
Like less than what, 30%?
It was enough to
20%?
make the difference.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Do we have to look it up,
We
Rick?
probably do, but first, let's talk about some other. What
No,
you just, you mentioned.
wait a
hold
minute.
on, hold on.
Wait. You're trying to deny something that is an accepted truth among the Democrats and the Republicans.
What, that Bernie would have won? Nobody accepts
Nobody's
that.
saying he would have won. What we are saying, don't interrupt me, is that it is an established fact, agreed to by the head of the DNC and by the Republicans that Hillary Clinton had money funneled to her unethically by the DNC so that Bernie wouldn't win. And she had super delegates lined up so that she could get more than he did. The election was a sham.
No, but I mean the unethical
You could just keep saying no.
No, I mean yes.
You have any proof that I'm wrong? Proof that I'm wrong, Rick.
Just the unethical part.
What do you mean the unethical
Everybody
part?
knew this was going on.
If you gave money, if you gave your hard-earned dollar to the DNC, they were supposed to divide it equally between the candidates, Sanders and Hillary. And they didn't. They funneled it all to Hillary. That's not democratic. It's corrupt, and it's the kind of thing I'm used to from Democrats.
It's machine politics, which has been done for anyway.
What do you mean it's been done? Murder's been done too. What kind of an argument is that?
All right. But if still millions of people, maybe 5 million, maybe 10 million people, you mentioned three things. Free college.
Wait a minute. Wait. You just told me that Bernie Sanders was not relevant to this argument because he was for open borders and the average Democrat was not. But it turns out that in a speech in Brazil, Hillary Clinton said that her dream was to have an open border in the entire Western Hemisphere. That is a quote. That is on record. So both Bernie and Hillary were for open borders.
Yeah, but most Democrats aren't for.
I don't care what most Democrats are for. I care that the two candidates that you had a choice of were both for open borders and were going to impose it on my country.
Really? Did she say her dream was open borders?
Yes. Her dream was open borders for the entire Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, I have a dream too. That all of North America is one country. Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. One big country.
This is sophistry on your part, Rick. That's sophistry.
Hillary Clinton
That's
wasn't...
rhetoric.
All right, fine. But Hillary Clinton, fine. That wasn't going to happen. And Hillary Clinton
What do you mean that wasn't going to happen?
We're not going to have the United States of North America with the entire continent being one country.
Well, why aren't we going to have open borders, Rick? Your party has voted en masse against a wall. Your party is voting en masse to amnesty all illegal immigrants.
Now who's being sophistic?
What?
Now who's doing sophistic?
The votes, the roll calls on the votes were 100% of the Democrats voted against the wall.
Just because we vote against a dumb solution doesn't mean we're for open borders.
Well, let me get this straight. One party wants to put a wall on the border. The other party doesn't. But the party that doesn't want to put a wall on also doesn't want open borders.
That's right. We have it's a 2,000...
We have a porous border.
It's not
and
that...
they want... Wait, let me tell you the things they want, Rick.
No, hold on. You fucking hold on for a second. We got a 2,000-mile border. Some of it's pretty impassable. We already have 650 miles of wall along 2,000 miles. Much of the rest of it is tough terrain that is hard to get across. I mean, and we put up that wall in a kind of bipartisan way over the past 20 years.
Okay. The wall we have right now is ineffective fencing that's easy to climb over with a ladder. What we want is a high-tech wall with the most modern engineering
And you want 2,000 miles of it.
And furthermore...
Even where it's not necessary because of geographic
The Border
conditions.
Patrol wants it. And by the way, if you listen to Project Veritas, this is very interesting.
Wait, is this that James fucking guy?
Yeah, you hate him because
the guy who went to prison for
you've got a smear on every single Republican.
When they go to prison for falsifying shit.
Rick, it's fascinating. You're such a drone. It got into your head that they prosecuted this guy for a minor violation.
Well, you know what?
And so now everything he says, even if it comes out of the mouth of a Democrat candidate, it can't be true.
Well,
so wait. This week, within the past 3 weeks, he spoke to Democrat campaign staffers, the head of the campaigns of one of the senators. And she said, the journalist asked the head of the campaign, what do we say about the wall? And so the head of the campaign said this: we're against a wall, but we can't tell the public that. So what we have to do is we tell them, well, a wall is inefficient because there are little areas that are impassable. So what we do is we get the American public into a debate about where the wall, don't interrupt me, is appropriate or inappropriate, and then we avoid the question that way. Now, I knew that because I'm not brainwashed. I knew that whenever they start saying, but parts of the wall would be ineffective, and then there's streams and there's rivers, I knew that was a diversion. But because you're a Democrat zombie, when they said that, and they say that they're saying that just to confuse people, you bought it. And now you're telling me, oh, that's right. There are places where there are streams and rivers. So I guess we can't have a wall. We need to keep the border wide open. And furthermore,
let's listen to your bullshit. And let me fucking rebut. All right. It doesn't matter that O'Keefe went to prison for a little while. What matters is that he's kind of a creepy douchebag.
Oh, you know what, guys? The fact that O'Keefe has actual Democrat senators and campaign staff members saying actual things that show that the Democrats are lying to people, that they want them to think they're for a closed border, but actually they want an open border, that in fact, Democrat campaign staffers were funding bringing illegal aliens into the United States in 2018.
How are they funding it?
Yeah, they're helping them come over the border.
How?
They're giving them blankets, transportation, food, clothing. This was revealed on tape. And now you come here and you tell me, but we can't believe him because he's a, what'd you say? He's a douchebag. He's a creepy douchebag. So ignore any film that he has of Democrat candidates lying to you because Rick says he's a douchebag.
Google James O'Keefe.
No, I'll tell you what. Let's Google.
Assault and battery. We're going to talk about assault. Wait, you just...
No, I want to see the video. Let's show the video.
You just waited. This was a week where
Here we go.
Where assault was a big deal. You just assaulted and battered me.
That's only the beginning of what you're gonna get.
All right, but look, they've been talking about the Democrats are okay with funding the wall to the tune of $25 billion if they get there's more than one aspect of controlling immigration. There are four major aspects.
Okay.
The Democrats were like, yeah, we will give you $25 billion to start building the wall if we get some of what we want in terms of immigration.
Yeah, and then they make it an impossible deal that no one would ever agree to. Well, let's look up James O'Keefe.
Is that him talking?
Yeah, he's apparently out of jail.
Well, he's been out of jail for years, but he hasn't stopped being a
No,
douchebag.
turn off the camera. Turn off the camera because I want to find the exact one.
All right, okay.
I want to find the exact YouTube thing. No, he doesn't deserve it.
All right, turn it off because, we don't want to waste time. Let me know. Rolling. 77.2. All right, there you go. All right. I'm going to yield to you on a couple points here, Lance. Even though I think James O'Keefe is a dick, he did apparently get several moron staffers on Beto O'Rourke's campaign to say via hidden camera that they may have been directing campaign funds to help immigrants who are in the U.S., which would be a violation of campaign law. And it doesn't look to be that deceptively edited. It looks like the people are actually saying that. Though it doesn't mean that these aren't national frickin' Democrat party spokespeople. They're staffers for.
Well, no, the critical thing was it went all the way up to Beto O'Rourke's campaign staff manager. You
Yeah,
don't
but
get
that's
any
still
higher
the-
than that.
Well, you can't.
That's as
you
high
can't-
as you go.
Really, that's that because Beto O'Rourke is what now?
Well-
An unemployed guy because he didn't win the election.
Well, if the campaign manager of a senator is bringing in illegals, that's as high
I'm
as
not
it
bringing
goes.
them in. They didn't say that. They said that some of the immigrants who are here who are waiting to be processed needed
No. They were presumably illegal.
Yeah, but they weren't spending
What do
money.
you mean-
The
what
way
do you
you
mean they
spoke,
were?
it was as if they were spending money to bring them over the border or sending money
Well,
over the
no.
border.
If you give people money that come here illegally, then you're giving aid and comfort to somebody that is an illegal alien breaking our law.
Well, then say that instead of what you said previously. But
Well, I
let me-
didn't
but-
have
but
time
let me-
before you interrupted me.
Yeah, but let me admit some of my own hypocrisy. I've worked on 2 shows, TV shows that involved hidden cameras, or people being spoken to on the phone under false pretenses. So, like I don't have that much room to object to that, except I do because we were just doing it for fun, and James O'Keefe is doing it for. what I
Well,
can-
look, let's be real for a minute here.
Okay.
Rick. Your side is trying to bring in as many illegals as they can because
You'd like
they
to
vote
say- no.
because they vote Democrat.
No.
That's what this is all about. And because we've proven over and over again that they lower wages of the poor in America, and they're a tremendous burden on our legal system, on our social services.
No.
Wait a minute.
They
Wait a
have-
minute.
They have half the crime rate.
It costs
or less
three.
than
You
half.
told me last. It costs $3 billion a year just to keep them locked up in our penitentiaries. That's forgetting the medical and the education and all the other services.
Well,
that
$3
they-
billion a year.
That's just for
All right,
locking them up.
And
Now, if
that's
you want,
$9 per American. And you say
If-
that you would say that's $9
if,
too much.
if you want, we can look that up. I can look up the figures right now on how much illegal aliens cost the country. Do you want me to do that
You
now?
can, but you also have to look because the studies I've seen say that they actually benefit the country. They bring in more. They contribute more to the GDP than they cost the country.
Okay, those are not true. I'll look it up right now. You want to
Nah,
turn the
let's- no,
camera
no,
off?
we have to break every
no,
freaking minute.
Well, no, we do because you can't accept basic math. Unfortunately, if you bring in millions of low-wage workers, they will lower the wages in the United
All right,
States
you
for
want to
poor
look up
people.
some shit? We'll look up some
You
shit.
need. Do I need to prove that? Is that incomprehensible to you?
No, because the shit I've read says that, yeah, there are some costs involved, but there are also some benefits.
Well, I know
the way
you-
there are with any people.
Right. So let's just isolate one figure, okay? If you bring in illegal aliens who will work for less money, does that lower the wages for poor people in the country you bring them into?
All right, look that up. If you want to look that up, I think.
So, no, wait a minute. Before I look it up, do you think that that's what would happen? If you brought in low-wage workers
You have-
to an area, would they lower the wages in that area for the people that were there before?
It seems reasonable.
Would they put any of them out of work?
Why don't you show me the study?
Well, no,
that-
I want to know why you can't believe that, because I am not the Rand Corporation.
But let's-
I'm not a think tank. We work here for about an hour and a half. I don't have a month to find every number. Before I do that, I want to know why you can't get it through your head.
Did you come to that conclusion yourself, or did you read a source that says that's how it works?
Well, I'll tell you what, Rick.
Which is it?
I have read things that say that. Yeah, I've read sources, which I don't. But
Then let's break and you show me the
okay,
frickin' sources.
I may not be able to find them, but before I do that, Rick, I want to know why you can't comprehend this. Now think about it. There's people working, and they have a certain wage. Let's say $2, and then the rich people bring in poor people from another country that will work for less money. Is that going to lower the wages overall? And is that going to put out of work some of the people in that country?
I think it's more complicated than that.
Well, I don't think it is, Rick.
Well, then show me the freaking
Okay,
article.
turn the camera off. Rick can't believe me.
All right, so Lance is looking shit up. Meanwhile, we'll do Science Corner for this week, or Math Corner. I punched 2 walls this week because I got pissed off. I tripped over a leaf for our table that Carol left in a place where I tripped over it because we're doing Thanksgiving. We need to make our table bigger. I got pissed and I punched the wall, and then I had trouble with a mini blind that was falling off the wall, and so I punched the wall again, and I've punched a lot of walls. And in movies, when you punch a wall, you punch through the drywall and you leave a hole in the wall. I've never punched a hole in the wall. I've never even dented the drywall significantly. And I think when people punch through a wall in movies, it's bullshit, unless they're a superhero. And the deal is this, that there's a stud, a wooden stud every 16 inches behind the drywall. And so if you punch right on a stud, you're not going to break the stud, you're not going to punch through the drywall. And really, there's only about a 7-inch sweet spot where if you punch between the studs, the vertical pieces of wood that hold the wall together, you might be able to punch through it. But your fist is about 4 inches wide, so you only really have about 3 inches of leeway out of 16 inches to hit that sweet spot. So that's only 3 inches out of 16 inches is less than a 20% chance of hitting the sweet spot. If you go over here and go, bam.
Oh,
No, don't hit my
But
wall.
see, those were significant punches.
damn, that was.
But the wall's fine. The wall's not even dented. So, but this leads to 2 other things. A, you're probably, if you know somebody who's punching through drywall, you need to get the fuck away from them because they're dangerous. Also, if you want to punch stuff without breaking your hand, you want to punch something where you distribute the force across all of your knuckles.
Oh,
Like, so you want to hit here, the flat of your
the
hand.
light. There you
See, you want to hit here. So when I punch stuff, you don't want to lead with here and hit with just one knuckle because then all the force breaks this knuckle. Instead, you want to make sure that when you hit with the flat of here, so the force is distributed against here, the whole surface of your hand.
Move your hand so people can see.
All right, so this is a nice flat area.
Now move the hand so people can see.
Alright.
Point to it because you're blocking the.
All right, so well, here, you can see it here. This area here,
Oh, okay.
that's nice and flat for punching.
Ah,
Also, so you want to punch something where, also don't punch people in the mouth because mouths are filthy. And if your hand goes into their mouth, drunk people do this a lot. If you punch into the mouth, the teeth go into your hand, and your hand gets super infected. Also, when you make a fist and teeth are involved, the teeth go into your hand, they inject all their germy crap because you're punching a drunk person who probably has their teeth is full of booze and food. And then when you undo your hand, the tendons pull the gunk that just got injected into your hand up into your arm, and then you're looking at your hand swelling up and serious antibiotics. Also, don't punch people as an adult because you will be arrested and you'll be sued. I shouldn't tell kids to punch people either, but really, the consequences for being a kid punching somebody, like being 12, you're going to have fewer consequences as a 12-year-old than as a 22-year-old or a 42-year-old. That's pretty much it.
you look amazing. Let's pretend you're in a competition. Double bicep.
No, let's not do this.
There you go. Double bicep. Okay, that's
That's
the Bruce Lee.
This is the crab pose.
Nice. You're fucking ripped. Now do a double bicep.
Yeah, we do this. We've done this before.
There you go. Oh yeah.
No, but okay. Lance, you done looking at shit?
Yeah, I mean, I
All
have
right,
an
let's
article
go.
here.
All right, let's go. Show me a thing.
Okay, you can read it yourself. Are we filming?
Yeah.
Do we
Okay.
do we need to break?
This
for,
this
you wanna-
title this
just
this
tell me.
this was written by Vernon M. Briggs Jr., professor of labor economics, Cornell University, Center for Immigration Studies. The impact on wages and employment of black workers. Testimony before the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights,
What year?
2008. So basically, it is a very long article that we do not have time to read, but his conclusion is that illegal immigrants are unfair competition to low-skilled black workers, that blacks have the highest unemployment in the country, and that part of the reason is because they have to compete with illegal immigrants.
Do we have any numbers?
He has numbers on black unemployment, but let me continue. He also says that the illegal immigrant gets 3 times the salary in America that he would get in his own country. So he's also working for less money and therefore depresses the wages for black people in the United States.
Are there any numbers in this whole
He
frickin'
says there are studies, and if you want, you can look at
So you
his
just found
notes.
you just found an expert who backs up what you say, but without any of the actual statistics.
Well, there is a data portal if you want, and we can look at the data. All right, table of
But wait a second, I thought
contents.
black unemployment was at historically low levels right now.
It's low for blacks. Yes, it is. That's true. But illegal immigration is the main, one of the main causes of black unemployment. Bureau of Justice Statistics. You want to turn the camera off? I'll look it up again.
Sure, all right, let's break.
All right.